So for me, this episode, the main focus was all about individuality and taking on those human qualities that make you unique and human.
Hunter, Hunter, episode 79, No Good NGL.
It's officially hitting the fan now, yeah. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and ant-filled and individuality-ridden tale of Hunter Hunter. Now, the last episode really kind of was the, really actually the last couple, to tell you the truth. The focus has been less on the human aspect of things and more, obviously, on the Chimera Ant Queen building her army, building, obviously, this army of, like, these mutated squadron leaders. And really, the episode wound up ending off with, them having a meeting, her and the squadron leaders kind of asking, hey, can we have some names, some things that would kind of promote individuality amongst them. So anyway, the episode wound up ending off, of course, with Kite and company, Killua and Gon and all them on an airship headed towards the NGL, that country, and they actually have to go and enter through another one. But that's kind of how things left off. Things wind up picking up over here. Right at that point, we wind up getting, a little bit of exposition on, they actually have to land in this one country, and then they actually have to go and take, pretty much by car, go across this other country or territory or region to get to the NGL. When they get there, and this kind of fascinated me, when they get there, this is a total of technology-free, nature-preserve type region, right? And has a couple million inhabitants, by the way, as well. So there's a lot of people that are on board with this. It's not like it's just a big wildlife preserve. There's a lot of humans there, too, a lot of people. And so anyway, as they get there and they get dropped off at this, like, embassy, these two giant tree of life-looking things, they go in, Gon, Killua, Kite, and the whole group, they wind up going in, and they get the rundown of everything. They can't not admit them because they're pro-hunters, but there's strict regulations of not bringing in any, weapons, any cell phones. I mean, even like plastic and, metal, your belts, your shoes, clothes that are made with any type of chemical or synthetic manufacturing. And they have all these, like, natural clothes for sale upstairs, of course. Once they go in, and then it's funny because they talk about, like, dental implants, metal, from, like, a replaced joint, knee, whatever, and then they go silicone. So I'm thinking, okay, so anybody that's got a titty job can't get in, right? Anybody that's had, like, a facelift, Botox injection. Anyway, they wind up going through this strict, they do like MRIs on them and like these total like CAT scans basically, and it winds up narrowing down the field of the only ones that can actually enter when all is said and done out of the original 8 or 9 or whatever of them is Gon, Killua, Kite, and then two more, Padungo and I want to say a Stick Dinner, I think was the other one. And those are the only 5 that are even allowed in, So I just thought that it was pretty neat to see how they do it. I mean, they even scan people's bodies because they said that people will go and scan. They'll like smuggle in cell phones, cameras, pieces to weapons to like in their rectum, in their ass, right? I've heard of the shit like that happening with like drugs, but these other types, they smuggle these things in, and then once they actually get in the country, then go and reassemble them. Some people have actually trained animals to go and bring them laptops and things like that after they're already in, So it's pretty neat to go and see that this country, this huge region is, I mean, they're pretty strict on the whole technology-free thing. There's nothing going down, at least that they're allowing anyway. So we also wind up getting a check-in as well with Ponzu and Pakal and their little group and whatnot as they kind of come into the country and start to research as well. But again, the main focus of this episode really is the Chimera Ants and the squadron leaders and their quest and a lot of them striving for individuality. It seems like the ones that are a little more advanced, the Skylander ones as I like to call them, the ones that can talk on their own seem to be thinking much more on their own, because we see several instances during the course of the episode where they're kind of like bucking the chain of command. They don't want to listen to what they're supposed to do. They want to do what they want to do, and there's several times where that's, it's a direct disobeying of an order. And having individuality is one thing, but in an army type, a military type setup like this, where you have a chain of command, there has to be some order amongst it. I mean, you think about humans, people, we have free will and everything like that, but when you go and you join a military type organization, you are going and basically giving up your right to I wouldn't say your right to individuality, but your right to be able to dictate everything you do and say. When you're on their time, you're listening to orders that are dispatched from somebody in the chain of command that is above you. They're listening to somebody that's dispatched those orders from above them, and so on and so forth, and that's how it works. When there's one person that's not listening to that chain of command and doing whatever they want, that can wind up destroying the whole machine. You know what I mean? It really does. I mean, it takes a bunch of gears to make the machine that mesh together to make the machine work right. And if one of them's not spinning the right way or decides to kind of go off and try to do its own thing, it really screws things up. So we wind up seeing that with several of these team leaders. There's one of them, his name Yunzu, I think his name was, and he's kind of cool looking. He's got like a half horse, sort of half man type of deal, and he was pissed off at those rebel militant type guys, the drug manufacturing ones from the kind of shady underworld that's in NGL. Those ones that came out of the woods and started a town and started killing some of the Chimera Ants. He winds up missing a war council meeting to actually go and take and go and hunt down these humans and kill them, and more just for the sport and for the fun of it. The Chimera Ant Queen says, listen, I need 50 fresh bodies a day, and whatever they do to them, I don't know if they knock them unconscious or what, they can't kill them. They have to be alive for her to obviously just to eat them as sustenance or whatever. But these ones are going, this Yunju is going off and actually killing people just because they pissed him off, right? Because they did, they did something and fought against them and tried to rise up against them. So you see that. You even see there's this other one that looks like a koala bear in a suit. It's actually kind of goofy looking, to tell you the truth. It doesn't even look, doesn't even really fit too well with the whole theme and the motif. He's a pink koala with a suit on. But the whole idea again behind this is that I think they're trying to show, and what Tagashi was trying to go for here, is that you can have ants by themselves are really, with that hive mind and that sort of, everybody has their job mentality. From what I've heard and what I remember from science and everything like that, science classes, that they're considered to be one of the most perfect species on Earth because they can carry up to 100 times or 1,000 times their own weight, whatever it is, something crazy like that. And they all have their jobs and they all work in unison in community to get things done. And it's a really neat system when you look at it. What they're showing with this is that, yes, sure, they're evolving, though, beyond that, and they're evolving into a human state where they have this free will and free choice to do things, and some of them are choosing to say, fuck you, I'm not doing it that way. And that, again, can be a real problem, and is already showing us, it's already becoming evident in the series, that I see that it is becoming a real problem. So, definitely very cool stuff. We also wind up seeing there's an attack. Ponzu and Pakkel's group come across some of those militant members that have been killed, and or basically, they come upon a dead body. And as they're examining it, 3 of the just kind of basic worker Chimera ants wind up coming out of the woods and coming upon them. And Pakkel winds up going out. Remember, he's a pro hunter now, and he's magical beast hunter and everything else. And it's kind of cool because we never got to see any type of abilities, and plus he didn't have any Nen abilities, of course, when they were during the hunter exams. That's all developed afterwards for the most part. And he winds up going and pulling out, he tells everybody, listen, you're going to run on my mark, right? And then all of a sudden he goes and he pulls out this 7 rainbow or something thing. I forget the exact name of the power, but it's his Nen ability. And he goes and pulls out this magical bow and arrow, and he goes, red arrow, and he pulls out this arrow, and boom, hits the front Chimera Ant out of the 3 and just lights his whole head up, man. And I was like, yeah, go Pakkel! And then he's like, run! And everybody starts running, taking off in different directions. Ponzu, the one that can command the bugs, the bees, stuff like that, she winds up getting cornered by the other 2 or whatever, and just as it looks like she's about to get nailed, just about to get eaten or what have you, Pakkel winds up appearing, and he actually goes and fires and pulls out he reminds me of like Hawkeye from the Avengers, or Green Arrow, pulls out double Legolas from Lord of the Rings. I like all the bow and arrow guys, if you can't tell, Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead, whatever. You got a crossbow or a bow, you're cool on my list. Anyway, pulls out a double red arrow thing and pops them both in the head and takes them out. And really, that was kind of one of the highlights of the episode because of the fact that we haven't been seeing a ton of action from the main characters, because obviously this is the stage where you're kind of building towards Gon and Killua and Kite, that group. Now they're actually in the NGL. Now they're actually, now we're going to see more of them as they get involved, but the last few episodes it's kind of been them doing research leading up to and finding out a lead to where they have to go, so it's definitely very cool to see that. And a lot of the action that we've seen has been kind of demoralizing because it's entire towns and villages getting taken up. Now that these ants are organized, they're looking at maps and shit, they're going, okay, go to this region, go to this town, this this village still might have some left, to go and to get more sustenance, you know, for the queen, more food for the queen. But it's certainly, even though it's action, it's very depressing because you're like, oh my god, I'm a human. They're wiping out the humans. I understand it's fictitious, but it still doesn't feel good, you know. So very cool stuff though, and the episode winds up ending off after that really cool scene, you know, with Pakal and Ponzu and such. So now the lipstick has come off the pig. Everybody that's kind of in there, there's several groups, I guess, that are in there. I'm assuming mostly hunters. That know or that have gotten rumor that there's some shit going down with these Chimera Ants, and like I said, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg, boy, but it's getting so fun and so good, and I just can't wait. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is so far out of all the squadron leaders that you've seen from the Chimera Ants, and I know we haven't seen the three Royal King Guards that are about to be birthed, you know, the Queen talked about that in the last episode, but out of the ones that we've seen so far, what's your favorite squadron leader? You know, for look, design, just how they act, you know, that kind of just attitude and what have you. Personally, I really like the the koala bear cracks me up, but I like the and I don't even think he's a squad leader though, but that Yunzu is actually really cool for me, and I just like him. It kind of has that centaur feel to him. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are and your favorite one is. Leave that answer in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Thank you for watching. Without you, none of this would be possible.